Hey everybody, welcome to Drive-Thru Review number 125. Today we're going to talk about Morels. It's a two-player card game from Two Lantern Games. This is their first game, and I picked this up at Gen Con this year. It has a lot of buzz about it, and it is a very, very interesting game, very quick game. And well, let me just show you how it works, and then I'll tell you more about what I think. Okay, you can see here I've got the game set up before play. Everybody's going to get a hand of 3 cards to start the game. And then you're going to have a center row here of cards. Could be mushrooms, frying pans, butter, whatever. There's a whole bunch of different kind of cards. And then each player is going to have these little cheat sheets here. And these are going to be your best friend in the game, especially as you're learning the game. This is going to tell you how many of each of the different cards are in the game. Whether it's a mushroom card, whether it's one of these nighttime cards, a frying pan, you've got butter here, baskets. You're going to really kind of have to keep track of this and sort of plan your strategy based on what you kind of see towards the beginning of the game, and then kind of pick a sort of an approach throughout the game. And on the other side of these we have sort of a turn breakdown, a couple of different actions you can do, and then just a little bit of a turn cleanup thing. The game's pretty simple, but you're really going to be referring to this a lot in the game. You've also got these sticks here, and I should say that these are the handmade sticks that come with the handmade version. So the only place that you can buy this right now, I believe, is at twolanterngames.com. And they only have a few of these left, I think. So I'm not really sure how many of these they have left. You also get these little frying pans here, which are kind of nice. Just these cool little things. So each player starts off with a frying pan, and you don't start off with any sticks. So what the sticks are used is to give you sort of greater purchasing power when you go to try to acquire cards from the center row here. Now you can always choose cards from the rightmost 2 for free. So I can choose this one or this one, put it right into my hand. If I wanted to choose a card further along down the line, I need to pay a stick for each card. So if I wanted these Morels here in the middle, I'd want to pay 3 sticks. So 3 sticks for 1 stick pass. So 1, 2, 3, and then I spend my 3 sticks and put them back into the supply. So what are you trying to do? Well, you're trying to collect sets of these different mushrooms. And you can do a couple different things with the sets. So as you collect a set of mushrooms, you can either sell them to get these sticks to give you greater purchasing power as the game progresses, or you can cook them. And if you cook them, you basically get points. So let's explain how you go about doing this. Well, the first thing you can do simply on your turn, and what you're going to be doing most of, is taking one of these rightmost cards, or possibly spending sticks to get these other cards. So you take the card, let's say I took these Morels here, and I spent 6 to get it, I put it in my hand, and then that's my turn. I just basically drafted a card. So anytime you do any action on your turn, the rightmost card, whatever's left, is going to go into what's called the Decay Pile. So let me just move this down to make some room here. There's always going to be 8 cards here in the middle. Unfortunately, my frame is not very big. So the rightmost card here is going to go into the Decay Pile. So we just turn it horizontal like this, and then the Decay Pile can have up to 4 cards in it. So as people take cards, the rightmost card will go into the Decay Pile, and then we'll fill up this back up to 8 cards total. So no matter what action you take, you're always going to be putting a card in the Decay Pile. So let's say, for argument's sake, I've got 4 cards in here, and then this is now full. The Decay Pile is full when it has 4 cards in it. So if I've taken my turn and then this card here was going to go into the Decay Pile, then this Decay Pile is going to get wiped out and discarded. These cards are gone forever, and then this card will go in to start a new Decay Pile. So let's just put these back here. So the other thing I can do, instead of taking a card from the center row here, is I can take everything that's in this Decay Pile, and I have to take everything. Well, the thing to keep in mind is that you start the game with 3 cards, but you have a hand limit of 8. So you can never do an action that would put your hand limit above that. So if I had 8 cards in my hand, I could never take a card. I'd have to do something to get rid of them. In this case, let's say I've got 4 cards. I could take this, and I could put all 4 cards, and I could fit all 4 of them into my hand. So you can take a card from the center row, first 2 are free, any others after that are going to cost you sticks, or you could take everything in the Decay Pile here. Now the next action I could do is sell a group of cards, or a set. So I need at least 2 of the same. So here I've got the shiitake mushroom, and I need at least 2 to sell. So when I do that, I just simply take the action to sell, and I discard these, and then I get this number of sticks per card that I sold. So in this case I would get a total of 4 sticks. If I had 3 shiitakes, I would get 6 sticks. But you always need at least 2. So if I sold those, I sold them and get the sticks, and then again, the rightmost card goes into the Decay Pile, and then we draw back out to fill up the center row to have 8 cards again. Now the next thing I might do, it would be to sell a set. Now you need to have at least 3 cards of the same kind to sell. And what you do is you simply play these in front of you, and you can see this little pan here, and that's the number of points. So if I sold a set of 3, I would get 6 points. However, I need a frying pan to be able to do that. Now like I said, everybody starts off with a pan, and so everybody's got sort of one cook that they can make. So I can take and discard that and just set the pan on top of there, and now I've scored 6 points for the end of the game. You don't count any points until the end of the game. Now I can never go back and add any more shiitakes to this. I'd have to do a separate cook. And again, you're going to need to keep in mind how many of the different types of cards that are left in the game. Now after that first cook, you're going to need to be able to play a cook with one of these frying pans. So if I had already used this pan, and maybe this is part of my hand, I could cook all of these shiitakes and then spend the pan card with it to be able to cook that. You always need a pan card. Now the other way that you can cook, and another action that you can take, is you actually can just discard or put this pan in front of you to be used later on a later cook. So if I had played this here, and then on a later turn I got that third shiitake, then I can lay that down on top of that frying pan. Because remember, you've always got a hand limit of 8 cards. So you're going to be trying to build these sets and sort of be constrained, by the hand limit. Now the way that you can increase the hand limit is with these baskets. So when you take a basket, you never put it in your hand, you just put it right in front of you. And for each basket in front of you, you get +2 cards to your hand size. So if I had these 2 in front of me, I'd have 10, 12 cards. These are very, very important, very powerful, very valuable to get those so you can give yourself a little bit more, room to work with. Now the next type of card here is this nighttime card here. So when I grab one of these, whether from the Decay Pile or from the center row here, I'm going to go in and draw the top card of this night deck. Now what is made up in this night deck is all of the same mushrooms that exist in the day deck here. And then there's one of each. And so you can see there's the fairy ring, the tree ear, all the different mushrooms. And I should say the art is really nice on this. Let's take a quick look and take a look at those. It's really well done. So the cool thing about these is these actually count as 2 of whatever kind of mushroom it is. So I've got the chanterelle here, and see this says 2 times. So this only takes up 1 slot in my hand, but it counts for 2 of that card. So that you can see it says 2 times here, and I've got 4 points and then 2 sticks. So if I wanted to, I could sell this by itself and get 4 sticks, because it's always a multiplier of 2. Because remember, you need 2 of the same to sell. But if I sold it with another one, it would be 2 plus, however many cards I had of that type. And again, with the points and with the selling, so if I had a chanterelle, it counts as 2. So I only need 1 other chanterelle to be able to cook it. But this will actually count as 8 points, because remember, it's double whatever it says there. And these are going to come in handy, and you want to try to get these early if you can, because you're going to get multiplier cards like this. So there's butter here, and then there's also cider. Let me find a cider. So here's a cider here. And these are sort of like multiplier cards, little bonus cards. So you can see here they've got a +3 on the butter and a +5 on the cider. So that means if I cook with a cider or I cook with a butter, I'm going to get +5 points and +3 points. But with the butter, I need to cook with 4 or more cards. Remember, the minimum is 3, but if I cook with 4 or more, I can cook this along with it and give me 4 points. Or sorry, 3 points. And if I cook with 5 or more cards with the cider, I'm going to get a bonus of +5. Well, if you take a look at here, then some of these, there's not even that many. So like these Morels are sort of the most rare. There's only 3 of them. So you're never going to cook the cider or the butter with that. But these honey fungus here, there's 10 of these. So these are kind of the cheap common mushrooms. So you maybe will need to add a little bit of flavor to make those sort of presentable and edible and just, taste better. Finally, we have these Destroying Angels here. And this is the card that you do not want to get. So if you ever take this or are forced to take it, then you're going to take and put this in front of you, okay? So if you have not cooked any mushrooms yet, this isn't going to be as bad to take. Basically what this does is it reduces your hand size down to 4. So you've got to discard 4 cards and get rid of them. However, if you have any baskets in front of you, you are allowed to place 2 cards per basket, basically under the basket, while this card is damaging you. Okay, so if I had this here and I had 8 cards in my hand and I had 2 baskets, I could put 2 under here and 2 under here. And now I'm down to 4 cards, so I don't have to discard anything. But if I had only one basket and I had 8 cards, I could have put 2 here and I'd have to discard the other 2, and that would leave 4 cards. So if I haven't cooked anything, this is just going to hurt me on the turn that I take it. But if I've cooked something, let's say I had 2 cooks in front of me, this cook and then another cook here with this pan. So what's going to happen there is that this is going to actually hurt me for 2 more turns on the turn that I get it, and then it's going to hurt me on this turn here for this cook, and then you basically would move it, place it next to your next cook, and it would hurt me again, and then it'll finally go away. It kind of passed through my system. I sort of picked a bad mushroom. I wasn't really, thinking. I didn't have my little guidebook handy, and I picked the wrong mushrooms, and now I've been poisoned a little bit. So it's going to basically damage your hand size as it works its way through your system. And then once it's gone, you're allowed to pick up any of the 2 cards that you set aside with your basket, and then again your hand size increases to whatever it might be. And you're basically just going to go all the way through this deck. Even when you don't have enough cards to fill out 8 in the center row, then you just go all the way down through, and then as soon as that last card leaves, maybe goes to the decay pile or goes into somebody's hand, that's the last turn. Nobody else gets any more turns. And then you're going to count up all your cooks and then add up whoever has the most points is the winner. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. This is a really sort of strategic and tactical game. Now, the tactics comes from the cards coming out different every single time you play the game. You maybe don't get any night cards, you don't get a whole lot of pan cards at the beginning of the game, there's no butter showing up, whatever it might be. But you need to sort of take your initial glance at the row and then see, okay, I've got these mushrooms that are out there. There's going to be a lot of the common ones out there where there's a lot of these, and there's going to be, maybe a morel shows up and there's only 3 of them. So you maybe want to grab that, definitely so your opponent doesn't get it. And you need to sort of work your way up to being able to sell, at least. Even selling some of those big point mushrooms are going to give you a ton of sticks as well. Like the morel gives you 6 points per card or 6 sticks per card. Well, having those bonus sticks, you're able to reach farther down the row to be able to, grab mushrooms before they get to the end where your opponent, maybe who is stick deficient, is going to be able to get them. And then also that decay pile can kind of build up and have some real interesting choice in it, where you've got maybe a tasty one that already has like 2 of the same, or maybe it has a couple of nighttime cards and a butter, but it maybe also has a destroying angel in it, because nobody's really going to want to take that. It usually ends up in the decay pile, but it may end up next to something that is, very tasty. So that decay pile is really interesting, because as people are taking what they want and what they immediately need, the decay pile will sort of build up and sort of act as a temporary holding place for new stuff that's coming down. So, but you also need the hand limits, hand availability to be able to take the whole thing. So it's a very interesting game. There's some tactical choices in sort of screwing over your opponent, and maybe planning for later as well. And you want to get 6 at the beginning, and then hopefully you need to be aware of, though, especially at the end of the game, that the game is going to end a lot quicker than you think it is, because as that row of cards is diminished, when it get down to just having the 8 cards and then there's no more draw deck, it's going to diminish way quicker than you think. So you need to be really set up to do a couple of cooks on your last turn and just let all those other cards go. You don't want to be like waiting, and you're on the 3rd to last, 4th to last card, and being able, I just need to draw this one more than cook, because it's just going to end quicker than you think it is. So there's a lot of just interesting things, and it's a hand management game, but it's sort of a hand cuff game too. And I like them when you've got a hand of cards, but you can't really do anything that awesome right away. You've got to really make a tough bad choice almost. Not really a bad choice, but you've got to make a smart tactical decision as far as, okay, I'm going to give this up and I'm going to go for this other thing. So I really like that, and it plays really quick, and it's very, very thematic, I should say, because the whole row of cards gives you that feeling of walking down the path. Then you're really trying to search for that really primo, mushroom. You don't want that garbage that you can find growing in people's yards and stuff like that. And the whole addition of the butter and the cider and the nighttime mushrooms, and you've got the poison mushrooms that you shouldn't really grab, but maybe you grabbed it and you thought it wasn't. You thought it was a good one, but it's actually bad, and now you're poisoned, and so you can't have enough energy to go back out. So anyway, I really, really enjoy the game, and you know, is just really good. So thanks.